Hello world and welcome. I'm Rick, and today I'm going to be talking about AI autocomplete for coding, and specifically an inherent flaw in how it works that makes it problematic. Lately, I've been using WebStorm a great deal for personal projects. Like all of JetBrains' latest IDEs, it incorporates an AI-powered full-line autocomplete feature. I've found it pretty useful. It also worries me a great deal. You might think my fear comes from the hype around how developers are all going to be replaced by AI. That is what the AI hype people want me and you to think. It is certainly the narrative the press is pushing. But no, that isn't what worries me. In fact, having spent a little time now with AI-assisted coding, and not just the JetBrains implementation, I can say that, at least for the moment, that worry doesn't even register. So what worries me so much? Let me give a breakdown of my experience with AI autocomplete. This is not a scientific study, just an estimate of what I've seen. 5% of the time, AI does something amazing, filling in code that saves me time looking up how to do something, or anticipating what I need to a perfect degree. 45% of the time, AI does the obvious, following a pattern I've established or is a common coding standard, and saving me significant time retyping. 40% of the time, AI goes off the rails, suggesting code that is blatantly wrong or just not applicable to what I need, and leaving me to just type it all in manually like the aging Neanderthal developer that I am. 10% of the time, AI fills in something that looks just fine, but actually isn't. It is this 10% that worries me. The projects I am working on, ones that I will be the first to admit are pretty trivial in the grand scheme of things, are being built with extensive unit testing. It was these unit tests that started revealing those sneaky AI-assisted failures. I'd write up some tests, get them all working, then go on and work on new features. Suddenly I'd get test failures. Digging into why revealed the problem. I screwed something up. Of course I screwed something up. That's the whole point of unit testing, right? The tests catch when you introduce bad code in a way that has an unexpected side effect. No big deal. But what I started to notice was the reason for these unit test failures was often coming from code that once I'd debugged down to the root cause, didn't quite make sense. That's when it hit me. This was code added by AI autocomplete. It was code that looked correct at a quick glance, and sometimes even at a deeper glance. It was code that looked good enough to be quickly accepted when autocomplete suggested it, and easy to move on since the AI had done its job. I want to be absolutely clear that it is completely possible for me to make the same kinds of mistakes. Certainly not all of the introduced bugs came from the AI helping me. I had my share of mistakes to work through. But the thing is that AI autocomplete and AI code generation amplify the opportunity to make these kinds of mistakes. Autocomplete works by autofilling a suggestion for an entire code line, sometimes when you type a single letter, sometimes not even that. If you've got code that is using consistent patterns, and you will, the autocomplete is going to suggest the next line in that pattern, helpfully adjusted to fit the new situation, such as by using a different variable name. You hit the tab key, and that suggestion is now code. It is just so convenient. Seriously, I really like this feature. But it is also very fast. There is no way you are reading that newly accepted code carefully. If it looks good and the AI has been doing a good job for you so far, you accept it. And once you accept it, you're on to the next line of code. Here's the irony of it all. Your brain has similar processes to that of AI autocomplete. Given a brief glimpse at something, your brain is going to fill in the gaps. That AI-generated code is flashing in front of your eyes, and your brain is telling you that looks fine based on code that it auto-completed itself. To fully understand this, you need to understand something about human vision. The key thing is that what you see is a construct of the outside world, not exactly the world. This is why many optical illusions work, and why magicians can fool you with sleight of hand. We can only really accurately see a tiny bit of what is in front of us. We scan quickly to sweep this tiny focused area around to get a view of the world. But what we don't see, we construct to fill in the gaps and make the world whole in our mind. In a moment's glance, much of what you see is what your brain is filling in to complete the picture of the actual tiny bit of focused vision you are really seeing. Now think about what this means when you are writing code and AI autocomplete throws up a suggestion of, say, 20 or even 50 characters. If you are like almost all developers, you are going to scan that very quickly. And your brain is going to say, looks good. Except your actual vision might have seen only a quarter or even a tenth of that suggestion. The rest was filled in with the code your brain already had in ready memory. So in your head, the code is good. If the AI did a good job, you're golden. If not, then it was completely invisible to you. Worse, it's already signed off, and you've moved on. In your mind, there's good code ready to run. And we all know how hard it can be when hunting down bugs to shake the fallacy line of thinking of, I know that code was good when I wrote it. Furthermore, when you are typing code, you actually have two systems doing on-the-fly error correcting for you. The first is vision, but the second is your muscles. You are thinking code and sending signals to your fingers to type that in. And how many times have you realized you typed something wrong just by something not feeling right on the keyboard? It doesn't have a huge impact, but it does have some impact. Vision and muscle signals both are helping to keep you typing true. But AI autocomplete, and in this case any autocomplete, bypasses your typing muscles, so that's not going to be of any help. So let's summarize this. The time you typically take to accept a line of suggested code is short enough that it is highly likely the code you are accepting was at least partially made up in your head. You saw what you wanted to see, and it looked fine. And there's no backup mechanism in place that might raise concern. The problem isn't that AI autocomplete can make mistakes. It is that AI autocomplete is implemented in a way where your ability to spot those mistakes is compromised. It is in this zone of good-looking code where I start to worry. AI autocomplete is a mechanism that I think is guaranteed to sneak bugs into your code. It may not be many, but it will be some. So let's look at some truths of software development. Developers tend to trust their code more than they should when committing it. Test suites are never as effective as they should be. And code reviewers are just as prone to overlooking subtle bugs as anyone else. Ask yourself, how many of these subtle bugs introduced by AI autocomplete and other generated AI coding methods are slipping into production code? Does that worry you too? Let me know in the comments.